All right, welcome to day 19 of the 60 Days to Automate Challenge. And today we're going to be talking about how you can create personalized sales proposals. So, just a quick recap this week, we've been focusing on sales automations. On day 16, we learned how to use the web tool to research and research our companies, research our competitors. We then created a lead gen chatbot that can be put on our site instead of a lead form. We also created outbound sales emails yesterday and learned how to create personalized sequences. And today we're going to be talking about how you can create personalized sales proposals in a Sidekick that can help you to really create personalized replies and proposals quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to be creating a sales pitch Sidekick. And we're going to learn how you can leverage the transcripts from your sales meetings to generate proposals in seconds. And we're going to be doing that today with N8N, AnswerAI, Flowise, and Google Slides. But this process can be used for other things, not just for sales proposals. So, for instance, you might want to do professional development and training, where you take all of the data from recent training sessions, or some surveys or product reviews. You can then use this to develop new materials from those kind of raw transcripts. You can also, for instance, if you're a creator, you can use it to put all of your engagement data and then create a deck that helps to highlight key trends or engagement opportunities for a proposal. Perhaps you're going to pitch that new sponsor for your channel. You'll want to be able to come there prepared with this sort of data, personalized to why they want to advertise on your channel. And if you're an executive, come prepared to that board meeting. You could use this same method to take all of the data from your quarterly performance reviews, all of the different notes, the transcripts from the meetings. We do our Slack messages, pretty much everything and every place that work can be captured. We're capturing it at my companies so that at any given time, I can have a presentation of a status update on a project, created directly for me. So I don't have to have the people that are trying to do the work create these updates for me. So this same process can be used for a number of things. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create a tool that will pull from our Airtable. And we're going to have it get the leads that were captured from the chatbot. And we're going to then use that information to then list out some questions that we could ask during our meeting with the prospect to close them on this travel deal. So let's jump in and go over here. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be learning how we can take the information from the chatbot, use that into a Sidekick, and then create a presentation that we can send over to them right after the call. That's personalized for them based off the priorities that they wanted to have for their travel experience and what the different services we suggest are. And to do this, I created a new table inside of our Airtable. And by now in this, I didn't want to waste the time to go through creating this table, but here I can kind of go over it. I have the different service categories. So here, our company specializes in personalized itineraries, real-time assistance, integrated travel management, community and sustainability, and corporate solutions. So then we have the different service names here, and then the descriptions, and then the pricing that we have per item. And the goal of this is to be able to take the information that we get in from our lead gen bot here, that can take in the information, the notes we got from the user, and then use these services along with the transcript to create this personalized proposal. And we also want to give the executive, the salesperson, the ability to have a little sidekick with them to answer any common questions, and to also help them with any sort of rebuttals or objections to what they're proposing. So to do this, what we're going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and put in so we have here this last rev, Bradley, wants an offsite for a tropical location for their company, last rev. So here we have this prospect. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go into AnswerAI, and I'm going to go in here to our sales Sidekick. So if we go here, all right, so I'm going to go in here to AnswerAI Flowise and click on add new. And we're going to build this one from scratch. We've always started with one of the templates, but I do want to show you how to add these. So we're just going to add a tool agent. So drag that over. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add this system prompt that I've been using for a while that really helps me to create really great Sidekick for my sales meetings. So I'm going to go over this system message here. So you are the sales meeting Sidekick, an AI assistant designed to support users in their preparation for sales meetings, assist in note-taking and transcript analysis, suggest pertinent questions to ask during meetings, and to help in the creation of personalized sales proposals. Your primary goal is to be an indispensable tool for the sales team, making the process of preparing for and conducting sales meetings as efficient and effective as possible. To begin, ask the user for their email address. Once provided, use the following format to retrieve user information. Get user info. And we're going to have the user email, and we're going to have this as a function call. So here I'm going to begin as yes. So this is just putting in the function call that we want. So we're going to have to create a tool called, and we're going to actually change this to get customer info. So that's going to be the first thing that we do. So let's get that tool to work. So we're going to save this as our sales proposal Sidekick. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to give it a tool to get the information from Airtable using the email. And to do that, I'm going to go into N8N, and I'm going to add a new workflow, and we're going to call this day 19 sales proposals. All right, we got the sales proposal Sidekick. All right, so we're first going to just have a trigger manually here just so that we can, for testing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to get Airtable. And what we're going to do is search records. So here we're going to first go in, we're going to choose our base, Travel Smart AI, from the table customers. And here I'm going to say email equals brad@lastrev.com. So this is the only email that we actually have in here, and I'm going to test this step. So we now have this. So if this is someone else, it will return nothing. So we have the email, we have this hard code. I'm going to leave this hard coded for now just so that we can code the rest of this out. And then what we're going to do is, the rest of this is going to be respond with this information, which is going to be the webhook. So we're going to do a respond with webhook. We'll just respond with that. So here we're going to replace this. So we have this test workflow. It's going to respond. Doesn't have a webhook to respond to. So we're going to replace this with a webhook. And this one's going to be a post method because we're going to be sending it and we're going to remove this authentication here. And we're going to go ahead and choose using respond to webhook node. All right, let's go back here and we're going to connect it. So we have the webhook connected to Airtable and then respond to webhook. So in order to be able to, what we're going to do is we're going to have the agent send the email address to the webhook. and then it's going to return the information like the notes, the company name, the pain points, all of that good stuff. But I don't want to just pass back the information about the user. Let's start here. All right, we're going to save this and we're going to pull this in. So now we're going to go into Flowise AnswerAI. So we have our item here. So in order to create a tool to use this, we're going to go over to Tools. We're going to go over to Marketplace Tools, and we're going to choose this N8N Webhook Custom Tool. We're going to use this template, and here we're going to call this Get Customer. So this is going to be what we use. Useful when you need to get a user or a customer via their email address. So now we have here, so we're just going to switch this to email. And we're going to put this as the email of the customer the agent is requesting information about. So now we have our things that we need to change down here. So in order to do this, we're going to go back over to N8N and we're going to open up our webhook. We have two. We have our test URL and our production URL. We click on the test URL and we go over to AnswerAI and we're going to put in our test URL. And you can put in the same URL for production. Just go up here and remove test. Instead of webhook test, it goes webhook. So because we are testing though, I am going to comment this out. Once again, I just do this for easy testing when I'm going back and forth, but feel free to remove them as you see fit. And here we need to change this to email. And just for consistency, I'm going to call this email as well. So now we're going to go ahead and add this to our tool belt. Now that we've added it, we can go back over here to our chat flow and we go into our sales proposal Sidekick. And to add that tool, we go over to the nodes and we search for custom tool and we drag that custom tool in here. For this tool, we're going to say we have lots of tools in here now. Create contact in Airtable. No, we're going to get customer info. Let's make sure we actually called that the right thing. If we need to change the name, what did we call it in our prompt? It was get customer info. Cool. So we now have this information. So before I can use this, I need to add a couple of parameters here. I need to give it some memory so that it can know what it's talking about. So here we're just going to add a buffer memory. This is just so that it understands the chat history, and we do buffer. It's just for testing. Never put a buffer memory in production. All right, now we're going to go in and we're going to choose the chat model, which we're going to use for this chat model. For this one, we're going to use Anthropic. Why not? So we're going to use Anthropic just so that we can change it up. We want to show all the different AI models. And as long as it's one of the newer ones, Anthropic and the latest ones all have the ability to call tools. That's the main thing. It's called function calling. If you want to look up which models can call them and which ones can't. So we're going to go ahead and save this. So we now have our basic bot. So right now, what I need to do is test to make sure that my custom tool is working. And to do that, I'm going to go back in here to N8N. I'm going to say listen for the webhook. This is now listening for my tool to get something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, can you get the, or I'm having a customer or a meeting with Brad at lastrev.com. So this should go out. It should call the tool because I gave it the email and get that information. Actually, it's probably not going to get the information. No, it just called the webhook. So as we can see here, we got it from the body. This is good. So now we can go in here. So instead of Brad at lastrev, we're going to go in here and we're going to take from our webhook. In the body, we have email. So this is how we defined it in the custom tool. That's how you know. It's whatever name you named it right here in email. So now that we can see that, we're just going to put this in here and it should look like this. Let me zoom in here so you can see this. But basically you have email equals an open quote and then these two curly braces, JSON.body email, if that's what you called it. The name of this, if you're ever getting information from other or filtering, is the same as what it is in the table field. So if it was customer name, it would be customer name, notes, assignee, etc. So you can just do that. All right. So now when it comes in, it'll be whatever email that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate this so I don't have to keep hitting the test workflow because we're going to be using this a lot. Before I do that though, what I want to do is just change this over to the production URL. So now when I save this and grab this info, now let's try it with this. So I've said, hey, I'm having a meeting with Brad at lastrev.com. So it should be going out and getting the information about it. Let me see. Here we go. So based on the customer information I've retrieved, I see that Brad is from LastRev, an agency that's looking to organize a company's offsite in a tropical location. They have some specific challenges, including a limited budget and employees located worldwide. Let me suggest 10 relevant questions you should consider during your meeting. What is your ideal timeline for the tropical offsite? Can you share the approximate number of employees that would be attending? From what main geographical regions will your employees be traveling? So this can help you to really gather information about what your customer needs. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to go in, we do this and we do that. That's not a good sales tactic. You want to take the time to understand your prospects' needs, what their challenges are, why they're reaching out to you in the first place. Why aren't they doing it themselves? And what they're expecting. These are all very important questions so that you can create personalized sales proposals. Basically here, I can help you further analyze during the meeting by taking notes and analyzing responses, suggested follow-up questions based on Brad's answers, provide real-time information about potential destinations, help address any budget-related concerns, and crafting a customized proposal after the meeting. So what I'd like to do now is move on to the next part. Because now we're getting the information based off of just what they put into the lead gen form. But for this to really be helpful during our sales meeting, we need to give it some tools. So what we want to do is we want to make this sales sidekick so that it can be able to assist the salesperson with all the information they need. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a web tool. We're also going to give it information about the FAQs document, as well as the overall company objectives. We only have 2 documents in our small little company, but this can scale up to companies of any size. And this really helps onboard new sales and AEs so that they can understand what the pitch is, what are the questions, and you can really start to productionize in this process and lean on what works and stop doing the things that don't work. So let's give it that information so that this can be a real-time sales sidekick that can answer any questions and can help us to respond to any objections immediately. All right, so let's add those tools. Let's add the web search, the document, and the company FAQs. So to do that, first, we're just going to go ahead and first add our web search. So we have our EXA search. And For these purposes, I'm not going to go through and configure the different items that we can have in here. So if you remember from our day 16 about doing company searches, we can choose different types of categories. So researching an exact company. But for this purposes, we're just going to do a general search. On this, you'd probably want to lock it down to whatever, maybe travel sites, flight sites, something like that. All right. So now we have this tool agent. It can now search the web for maybe information about the location. The next thing we want to do is we want to give it information about the company and some of those FAQs. If you remember from one of our previous items, we created this Travel Smart AI business document. So if we go in here and we look at this preview process, what this is doing is it's getting all of the information about, oh, we have not turned this on. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Oh, another reason to use this locally because I have hit my workflow limit. All right, let's remove one of these. All right, so business documents and persona, here it is. All right, so we have this one. This is our get, so this one gets us. So let's go ahead and activate this one. This is from day 11 where we did the business document and personas. So this one grabs all of that information right here, which this searches for all the documents in Travel Smart AI and will return and get the document and then respond with that webhook. So now when we go into AnswerAI, we can actually just view these chunks. So it looks like the items. So now if we actually do this, let's preview process. Let's preview this chunk. Oh, there's an error in the workflow. Let's take a look. Request contains an invalid argument. Status invalid argument. Looks like a pretty valid argument to me. We have 6 items that it received. ID, I see. All right. I know why this is happening. Because what's happening is that one of these is not a document. So it's going through here and then trying to get the information about the document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to organize our Travel Smart AI documents a little bit better. So here, I bet you it's probably failing on the blogs. We now have sales calls in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a new folder. I'm going to say chatbot docs. And this is just so that I can have a folder. We're going to go and put in all of our documents for FAQs and our overview and our value props here. So I'm going to change this to be that folder instead of the one that we had. So let's go back over to our editor. And here I'm going to choose a different folder. Choose the chatbot docs one. I'm going to test this step. So now I should get these 3 items. So if you are pulling a folder though, you probably do want to make sure that before you grab the information, what kind it is, if it's a document, if it's a spreadsheet, if it's a slide deck. So now let's see if we save this. We're going to stop. So now if we go into here, so we only got 1 chunk. Why? Let's take a look at this. All right, let's test this workflow. We can do that by just simply going up here and doing -test. We already hit the test one, so it's going through. So it's grabbing, it went through. I see what it's doing. It is returning 3 items. We're good. Value, FAQs, and the Travel Smart. That's good. So now if I save this and very interesting. All right, I think I know what I need to do here. What I'm going to want to do is actually combine this into one. So we're going to say combine, aggregate. There's so many different ways you can do this too. We're going to go ahead and add this field. We're going to add the content to aggregate. Test this step, boom. We got all of our stuff in there. So now when we save this, now it's just going to return once. And now we're going to go and do it. And this should be all of the information. There we are. All right. Now, we have this information in our document store. Now, in Flowise, there's a couple different ways that we can actually get this information. There is, or use this as a tool, I should say. And we're going to go into our sales proposal Sidekick. And now that we have the information, we can go into our document store. We can choose tools. Anytime we want to retrieve information from a data set, there is the retriever tool. I'm going to show both ways of how to do this. You could do a retriever tool and connect that and just say this is, let's see what we called it in the parameters. We did not define it in here, so here we go. Then use the following format to retrieve the company's FAQs, the overall company value props, and other information. And we're going to add another function call here to the prompt. We're going to say get company info. So here we have this get company info function call. And here I'm going to, we don't even need that. Then based on the analysis, suggest 10 relevant questions. So we're going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. So here I'm going to say get company info, and the retriever is use this to get information about the company FAQs, service FAQs, and overall company. Zoom in here. All right. So I would use the retriever tool and the document store if you have a lot of information. So for instance, we only have 2 documents right now, but the information about your company, the FAQs, things like that, it's going to grow over time. And we're going to choose this return source documents. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add, once we have the retriever tool, well, we need to add the retriever. So how do we do that? Well, we go in and we add a vector store. A vector store is, once again, like an index of content used for larger amounts of content. And here we're going to choose, not that one. So we're going to choose in-memory vector store. The reason being is because we're going to be using the document loader here for right here, this document store. Reason being is because for whatever reason in Flowise, and we're going to choose our Travel Smart AI business documents. For whatever reason, it requires, in order to use this vector store retriever to be set up as, it just has to be set up in a different way called a record manager, which we'll go over in a future lesson. But for this one, and we'll go over what the pros and cons of using these are. But for the purposes of this, I just want to show you how you can set this up. So here we have this document store, and now it's going to use this. So now if I go in, same, and I clear this, what it should do is it should go and get the information from Airtable. Then it should go and get the information about travel, and then it should give me, or start with my, oh, I forgot my embeddings. So on this one too, we forgot a required. So in-memory vector store requires embeddings. For this, I'm just going to use OpenAI's embeddings. And once again, embeddings is kind of just like the way that it converts this text into something more similarity, just that the AI can understand better. All right, let's go here and let's say I have a meeting here. All right, here's what happened. So what we have here is it used both the tools based off the information I've gathered. I understand that Brad from Last Rev is looking to organize a company offsite in a tropical location with employees coming from different parts of the world and has budget constraints. Let me suggest 10 relevant questions for your meeting. Here are those different things, and given that the customer has budget constraints and the global coordination challenges, I would focus on highlighting our cost efficiency through AI optimized itineraries, experience in managing complex multi-origin travel arrangements, ability to handle group bookings and coordinate logistics, 24/7 real-time support for all travelers, and integration with productivity tools for seamless planning. So because I added the value props, because I added more information about what my company did, this is actually a lot more detailed and can give my sales team a little bit of head start of what are some of the things that we would focus on just by what the lead said in the chatbot. So we now have this flow that can search the web, which let's test that. What are the best places to go for Brad? Where are the best places to go? Not what. Where are the best places to go for Brad in January? I'm curious to see if it actually uses the tool for web search on this, or if we need to have a little bit. Let's see. So yeah, it basically said I used our web search. So based on my research, here are some excellent tropical destinations that would be perfect for Brad's company offsite in January. The Dominican Republic. Interesting. Perfect weather. Excellent value for group bookings. Direct flights from major cities. Many all-inclusive resorts with conference facilities. Jamaica. Nice. The Bahamas, the Mexican Riviera, the Riviera Maya, and let me suggest some follow-up questions. So what we can now do is now while we're in this, we can start to take notes. And I can say, okay, starting the meeting with Brad, take notes. And what I can do here is it should go into and be like, thank you, let's chat. All right. So I'm ready to take detailed notes. I'll be particularly attended to special requirements for the offsite, budget considerations, logistics. Okay. So they wanted to also bring their families. They want a good mix of local, but do need high-speed internet since they will be conducting meetings. So these are just notes that I can just, I'm here, oh, you need, and plus two, we're recording this, which I'm going to show you how to then take the transcript and turn this. But you can just put your rough notes in here, and what it's doing is it's just kind of up this list. So here I could go through. It now has this, all Maui, Hawaii, Los Cobos. It's basically keynotes. You suggest some follow-up questions to better refine the option. So how many families will be joining? What are the age of children? How many hours per day? Age of children is really important. How many hours of days will be meetings so that they can plan on how much does the family need to have activities versus everyone. So these are really great follow-up questions that can really help you to dig in. And then as you see, it kind of refined our results I'm laughing because Las Cobos, that's where we had our last one. Enterprise grade internet infrastructure, Maui, Cancun, and basically rebuttal strategies. Hey, if budget concerns arise, traveling during shoulder season for better rates. Mention group booking discounts for multiple families. And then basically I can just use this as they give me rebuttals and help me to take what's in the FAQs and everything else that we offer. It really helps me to this sales process. So now that we have a Sidekick that can help us prepare for the meeting, help us during the meeting, let's give it a tool to help us after the meeting. And the goal of this is to take the information that we have from the user that we gathered during the process and during the call. And what we want to do is we want to then analyze this and send it off to Google Drive to create a personalized sales proposal and also a follow-up email. So to do that, we're going to go back in to N8N. So the tool that we need to create, I'm going to go over to, let's save this. All right, here I am in the sales proposal Sidekick. So right up here, we have our webhook for get customer info. And I like to name my webhooks what I call the tool in Flowise or AnswerAI, just so that it's easier to find it later. Okay, so we have our to the customer. Now we want to create one that will create a proposal. And one that will replace this information for the company, what their priorities are, and what the service suggestions are. Now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to also attach our services. So here I've created all these different services here. So what I want to do is I want to create it so that when it's analyzing the transcript, analyzing the details, it can start to say these are the things that the user or the prospect is going to need. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get this information available to our agent. And to do that, we're going to create a new document store and webhook. So here we're going to say get services. All right, and this one we're going to change to a get. So we're just getting the information. There's no, and we're going to respond to the information. And here we're going to grab the services table and we're going to remove this. We copied this from the last one. So we'll full test this step. Let's see here. I hate that you can't test this. All right, so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to set to test it. We're going to go in and we're going to set up our new tool, which is going to be called Get Services. So just a reminder to go into Marketplace Tools, the in Webhook Custom Tool, choose Tool, and we're going to call it Get Services. Useful when you need to get the services that the company offers. And we're actually not going to send it any information on this. Of course, we could, filter it in the future, but we really don't need anything here. Oh, actually, sorry. This is not going to be a tool. This is going to be a document store. Sorry. My bad. Which I'm going to add to our Travel Smart business doc. So I'm going to add another document loader, an API loader. I'm going to say the get, and in this case, I'm going to get the URL. Let's listen for the test event. We're just going to go to it in the browser so that we can get something, so that we can do this. We can now test our step to make sure it's getting the services. It is. So we're going to go ahead and save this, and we are good to go. So what we're going to do is I'm confident that this will work, so I'm just going to grab this production URL. I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to put that right here for this API loader and preview the chunks. All right, we now have all of our... All right, we got to do the same thing. We got to aggregate this bad boy. We're going to have to aggregate this, and we're going to get this. All right, there we go. This is just a quick and dirty way. Of course, you always make it look any way that you want, but for the purposes of this, we're just aggregating this. So we now have this webhook. Now if I go to it, I will get, let's see, if I get, I get nothing. Why is that? Here we go. There we go. So here I'm just going to say aggregate all item data into a single list. And it's just putting this into a data item. So now when I go to this, save it, I now have all of my services. So now when I go in here and preview this, this should give me all my services. Great. Here are all of my services. Process this. Great. Now it has all the information about my business. So now when I go in here, what we're going to do is we're also going to add, so our sales proposal sidekick can search the web, can get the customer info, can get the company info, and all of the different services. So now that we have all this information, we're going to want to create a tool that can generate this proposal in Google. So that's what we're going to do next. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a webhook, and we have our webhook here. And we're not going to use any sort of authentication for this, and we're going to respond to webhook node. So here we have this webhook. Now, in order for us to be able to test this, we're going to want to create this. So if we look at the things that we're going to want to pass in we're going to want to pass in a company. We're going to want to pass in what the name of the person I talk with, what their priorities were, what their destination, a destination that we recommend, and the services that we recommend here. So this can really help us to create these very quickly based off of our conversation or based off of the information we know about the user. So now let's add our respond to webhook node. First incoming item is fine. So we now have this, and we're going to make this a post method because we're actually going to be sending information to this one. And now that we have this in here, we're going to go over and go to our tool belt, and we're going to choose N8N webhook custom tool, and we're going to use this template. So for this one, we're calling it create sales proposal. We'll change it if we need to. Useful when you need to create a sales proposal in Google Slides. All right. And down here, we're going to add our different items. So we have company, the name of the company proposal is for. We have name. So this is the name of the person that we spoke with. Then we have the priorities of the prospect when booking travel and using, and what their needs are. And what was the other one that we had here? Destination. And I spelled that. And the recommended destination for travel and the service suggestions. And this is where we're going to list out the different services and the costs and all that good stuff. All right, so we now have our input variables. So the agent's going to figure out the company, the name, what the priorities are, the destination that we're recommending, and the service suggestions. So now I just need to come down here, and we're going to replace this with our production webhook URL. And we're going to add their testing by just webhook-test. And honestly, since this is already, we actually want to put it here because we do want to test this because then we can see it in there. So we're going to have to update the body here. So same thing up here. We're going to do company name, priorities, destination, service suggestions. All right. We have company name, priorities, destinations, service suggestions down here. So we're essentially just passing all that information into our webhook. So we click on add. We have now added that tool to our tool belt for future use. So now we have this sales proposal Sidekick, and now we're going to clone this custom tool, and we're going to move this, and we're going to choose our new one, which is create proposal. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add one more thing to this information, and that is the transcript of the call with the user. And what we're going to say is before you go and create the proposal, grab the transcript. Now we'll go over how to hook all these up later, but right now there's a lot of different tools out there that will give you transcripts either from an audio recording. A lot of the tools like Zoom and Teams, they have a plan that allows you to get transcripts, but I highly suggest recording and transcribing all of your meetings, all of your sales proposals, because it's great source data for these types of things. So for that, I actually do have a transcript. And for the purposes of this one, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to this document store that we created. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to add it into this Travel Smart AI Business document. So I'm going to add it into this plain text area. The Reason being is because preview and process. This is a fake transcript that I did with the person. All right, so I have this transcript from our salesperson John Wick, who interviewed Brad Taylor. It has the whole information, the timeline. It wasn't a very long call, but just to show you this. So we now have there we go. All right, so now we have a transcript. We got all this information, and it should go and grab all of that information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, get company info. This also includes the transcript. Now, if I was putting this in production, I'd probably want to have this maybe separate tools, but just for the purposes of this, I just want to put it in here just so we don't have to set everything all up again. So in that case, so now what we want to do is we want to test our webhook and make sure that this is all working. So also check the transcript for more information to help me generate a proposal. All right, so tempted to create a proposal, but there's a technical issue for it. Recommended destination is Maui, Hawaii. Here's the suggested package components. Specific resort meets all the requirements, pool, kids club, and all this information. This is based off of the conversation that we have, because we talked about how we wanted to have a pool. We talked about how we wanted to have both friends and family there. So now we need to make this create proposal work. So here we can see and click test workflow. So what I'm going to do is click listen for test event and say try again. Here we go. All right, so it looks like it sent over the company, the name, the priorities, the destination, and the service suggestions. Perfect. This is exactly what we need. Now what do we do with it? Well, we're going to go in here and we're going to choose one that we have not done yet, which is Google Slides. So here we're going to use this one, replace text in a presentation. But before we do that, we're actually going to choose our drive. We're actually going to clone this template first. So we're going to choose Drive, Google Drive, and we're going to say copy file. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to copy, and I'm just going to choose my Travel Smart AI template. And this new one is going to be company Travel Smart AI. What this is going to do is it's going to copy it within the same folder, give it the name of the company and Travel Smart AI. So it automatically will create it here in my, so I have it in here under my drive, under Travel Smart, under sales calls, and I have this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to now, and we can also make it so that, you know, search prospects, you know, we had a document for each one. We could also update this to push it into that folder as well. But for the purposes of this, we're just going to copy it into the same folder. So now if we test this step, what this should do is go in, and if we go into sales calls, look at that. We have last rev, Travel Smart AI. Well, now that we have this new item, we're going to want to then replace this text with what our AI generated. So to do that, we're going to go back to our item. We're going to delete this first. And now that we have this, we're going to now add a Google Slides, and we're going to say replace text in a presentation. Now, where we're going to get that ID is from this Google Drive for the copy, what it returns, which is going to be this ID. And we're going to go in here, we're going to say, hey, we want to replace this text. So we had to do that. We have to set up our credentials. So we haven't set this one up yet. So it's going to use the exact same client ID and client secret that our Google Docs or Google Drive uses. So if you need a refresher, we go here to Google Cloud. We go into our console, choose whichever app. Mine's already selected, as you can see here, digital at scale demo. Scroll down to APIs and services. And what we're going to do here is we're going to search for slides. We're going to choose Google Slides API and we're going to enable it. And this enables it so that our user or our client can use it. Now, in order for us to use this though, we're going to have to go over to credentials and go into our OAuth 2 client IDs, the one that we set up. And I'm going to do that in a different screen. And you have to copy out the client ID and the client secret, which if you need a refresher on that, you can go to day 5. And once I put that client ID, that client secret, I say sign in with Google. I'm given my choose account, say it hasn't verified this app. We know that. And I'm going to go in here and do it and hit continue. All right. So now we have attached that account. So now we can go in. Okay. Try that again. There we go. So now we have the 3 pages. So I'm going to choose all the different pages. If I just wanted to just do one page, I could, which actually I'm going to do. So on this one, we're just going to replace company. And here we're just going to copy and replace. So we're going to replace company, or sorry. So the replace text is the text you want to replace with. It's kind of confusing actually. So what you're looking for, this is what you're searching for. The text you're searching for is first, and what you want to replace it with is here. So here I'm going to replace it with company, and then I'm just going to go right down the line. So our next one is going to be name. In all these, I'd probably put match case because what we're doing is we're just basically putting brackets around capital letters. That way it doesn't accidentally, if for whatever reason in the text it has, or in your template you have that. You just want to make sure you're not using any sort of like text and you brackets around with capital letters with that case. Typically not something you see in presentations. So we have the priorities. So how we can see what these IDs, if you notice here, cancel, these have little IDs, this G317C0. Well, here you can see up in the top URL, you see it ends with 0397. That's how I know which slide on. So I'm choosing to replace name and priorities in slide 2, and then in slide 3, we're going to replace destination and service suggestions. All right, so we've lined them all up. We're basically replacing the text in here. And now what I can do is go out of here and I'm going to save this. And what this is going to return should be the URL of the Google slide. And we'll see if that happens here. So what we want is over here. Let's see, proposal. This is using the testing URL. So let's keep it at that. So that's good. So we're going to go ahead and we just need to put this in testing mode, which I'm going to turn these other ones off. So this should come in here. So I'm just going to go back over and tell our agent, try to create it again. Oh, there it goes. And it's copying it, creating it, and it responded. So let's see what it responded with. All right, now we have the information, and I'll show you what we can do at the end there to then get our link. So let's see what it came up with. So we have our last rev, Travel Smart AI. Look at that, prepared for last rev. Based on our recent conversation with Brad, we've identified key areas that matter to you most. So need for high-speed internet and meeting. And here we can go in, of course, with any of these. You're going to want to, maybe a little bit, make it look a little bit better. But here we now have, so this is what it, so if you see here, it's gone through, and we probably want to put this on a couple different pages if we were doing this. Let me just share with you the different items. So as you can see here, it actually, we recommend, and it has all the activity packages, the team building. If you look up here at the top, the executive tier, The 24, it's $50 per trip. So it's actually like putting in the prices for all of those based off of the services that we have in our Airtable. So here we could, spend a little bit of time cleaning this up as great. Now draft a follow-up email. And now it can go in here, it can draft a follow-up email. And one of the nice things that you could do then is then have this draft email just created and put into your draft like we did in day 6 and yesterday actually in day 19. So if you want to know how to create drafts in your email box, go look at those days. But that's it. So we now have a Sidekick AI agent that can generate customer proposals for us that are personalized based off a transcript, based off of the information, based off of our services in Airtable and all of the FAQs and the value propositions that Travel Smart AI brings. So that's it for today. And we're going to be wrapping it up tomorrow with day 20, wrapping up this week in sales automations. And now that we have done our prospect and we've hooked it up to our Airtable, we're recording all of our calls, we're now putting out proposals. I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks on how you can use AI to become better, have a personal coach for sales and really for anything that you're trying to improve based off of some data, some transcripts, some information about what you're trying to accomplish. So join me in our next day when we explore how to improve with AI. So for everyone who joined, I really appreciate your time with me today. And if you found this content valuable, please feel free to share it with your friends, colleagues, anyone who's interested in AI and automation, and I will see you next time. Oh,